Hello, everybody. My name is Harrison Taylor. I go by Cha Cha. I'm covering chapter 14 in our textbook about psychedelics and psychology. All right, today we're going to look at the history of psychedelics and their modern day usage. We're going to look at some of the adverse reactions you can have if you use them and some treatment techniques for how to treat someone who's dealing with a substance use disorder. All right, so we go way back in human history. We've been stoned since the Stone Age. There's LSD, psilocybin, MDMA, PCP are some of the more famous psychedelics in current use, but many others are used all around the world, and some have been around for just ages. Thousands of years, we've found records of people using herbs and mushrooms and things for spiritual use, recreational use, medicinal use, even for surgeries and things, pain relief. And for alcohol, it's even longer, 8,000 years, 20,000 years even, in some records. Most psychedelics are not habit forming. Unlike tobacco and alcohol, they don't usually lead to death or trouble, except for PCP. PCP can cause very violent episodes and death. It has something called a psychotomimetic effect. PCP makes your brain think that you're having a psychotic breakdown, and you absolutely lose your connection to reality. So please avoid psychotomimetics. But most psychedelics and hallucinogens are called fantastica. Fantastica, they make a fantasy world in your mind, but you still feel anchored to reality. You still feel like you're in the real world. You recognize what's going on around you. You just have these extra hallucinatory effects on the side. Sometimes you'll have a panic reaction if you're using, but most of the time it's going to be, as long as you're in a gentle environment, you can have an interesting time. And if somebody is having a bad trip, you can take them to a quiet room and talk to them and just kind of chill them out, and they'll usually feel better while they're on their substance, which is still not ideal that they're using a substance. So there's occasional reports of hallucinogen persisting perception disorder, which are called flashbacks, but it usually doesn't happen when you're in a controlled setting. It's mostly if you're at a crazy party and you take too much and stuff like that. Now, that doesn't include when we're talking about like when people used to use LSD as a truth serum in super high doses to try to get someone to lose their ability to lie because they were freaking out so hard. And then the government did something called the MK Ultra program, where they tried to create sleeper agents and assassins by giving them LSD in high volumes. So this is what will usually happen if you're using a hallucinogen. You might see some pupil dilation, a little fever and shaking and sweating. It can either make you drowsy or sleepless. It can make you hyper or calm. Usually you won't be very hungry. You might have tremors and shake. Your heart rate and blood pressure will usually go up. And in many cases, some of the herbal hallucinogens and psychedelics from South America and such will make you vomit. You have to vomit before the effects take hold. And so that's gross and unusual, but it's just part of the process usually when they use it in their religious ceremonies and such. Okay, so we've seen some very good effect for MDMA, ketamine as treatment for PTSD and depression, and even alcoholism. So if someone's a very severe alcoholic, then sometimes they can try a little bit of clinical psychedelic use and really find help with their problem. And this is very important now because in the last 25 years, we've seen more than 237% increase in alcohol abuse and alcohol-related deaths. Specifically, the increase, I think it's even more than 237, 250 or more percent increase among those ages 25 to 34 and 55 and older. The deaths have gone up 237%, which is so sad that people are feeling more lonely and disconnected now, especially after COVID. The numbers really spiked and they haven't really come down. So they're certainly better than tobacco and alcohol. The number of deaths are just phenomenally low compared to that. But some people, they use too much. They're caught in the rave lifestyle, festival lifestyle, concerts. They have to have those escapes from reality, and so that's not ideal. You don't have any substance that has that level of control over you. So an occasional use for spiritual or recreational or medicinal purposes might be good, but if it's constant, then you have an issue. And so it's just like marijuana use. Some people have to smoke all day every day just to cope with life, and so that's not ideal. That's not the kind of life we want our fellow citizens to have. And even marijuana by itself can be considered a hallucinogen when you take enough of it. Too much THC can make you hallucinate really hard. So what can be done? So one of the really good books I have from a different course is called Substance Abuse Counseling by Lewis, Dana, and Blevins. And they have some really good techniques about how to build community and how to feel more connected to your social network. And so here are some of those really good starting places if you're having trouble with alcohol or psychedelics or any substance abuse, any substance issue that has become habitual. So habitual and problematic. So here's some things you can try. You can just take things one at a time, take one day at a time. Try to start martial arts or CrossFit or go to the gym and work off some tension physically. Learn to just accept yourself. Don't be a perfectionist in life or in personal relationships. Use humor as a coping method just to process things. Get outside help when needed. Don't be ashamed to ask for therapeutic help or clinical help or help from your family. Make sure you take time to be alone and meditate and pray. All those things can be very helpful. Choose hobbies and activities that don't involve substance abuse. There's much more healthy things you can find to do in moderation to replace your the pleasure that you get from those substances shouldn't be discounted. You're a human being. You still need to enjoy life, and so you can try to find things that are not as detrimental to your health and to your life. Number 8, go for moderation and not rigidity in thought and action. So try not to be too by the book. A lot of times, binging and relapsing happens when you're trying to be so perfect everywhere all the time. But if you try to moderate, kind of just take it easy on yourself. Don't be so strict. Then you'll be less likely to end up in a stressful situation where you feel like you have to use to survive. And make sure you sleep and eat correctly. That's such a huge benefit to your circadian rhythms, is to have a good schedule for yourself. And then balance the costs and benefits of life. Don't get too caught up in hard jobs and hard situations, and just realize that, hey, you might need to make some changes. Your body's requesting the use of substances might be a way of telling you something, that it's time to make some changes. And so it's time to think about what might need to go in your life, what you can cut out or change to make things better for yourself. And again, just don't be afraid to ask for help. There's lots of people that love you and want to help you. And here are the references in my bibliography. And thank you very much. Here's my contact info. And let me know if you have any questions or ever need anything. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.